You ready? What's got me down?
Take one.
Welcome, New Africa Nation. It is the one, the only, it's your boy Nile, and I'm here with the dope, the one who's going to bring all the hope with all his words and everything that he quotes. QuoteTheMC.
I appreciate being here with y'all, man. Let's get into it.
So, I've heard and learned about you from our co-host and, beautiful marketing agent, Bubblesz, the creative, and she told me about the music. I went and looked out, but I want to get more into who you are and how you got on this journey. So I asked everybody this question: what's the one thing that you love to do that when you're doing it, you just lose track of time and you're just in your zone?
One, probably the main thing is what I'm doing now, which is music. Specifically writing it, creating it, listening to a beat and just writing thoughts, whether that be something specific to create a brand new song or just allowing thoughts to kind of flow. I've always been somebody that really enjoyed writing stories, creating a narrative, whether it's specific to an experience that I have or just the mind, just kind of playing with the way things can be created. So music has allowed me to kind of explore that even more as an adult, but still tap into the childlike, creative, curious mind and just flow. So yeah, I could lose track reading and writing music. Period. So really.
What challenges do you face when it comes to writing and creating?
I think one of the biggest challenges with the creating aspect is if I think about it as a professional now versus just myself as as the creative, as the hobby, the fun side, is thinking about how people will hear it and trying to fixate it a certain way, not deterring from the message per se, but more so making it marketable, right? Making it something that it's going to be catchy, it's going to play with their ear. Because for me, I know whatever I'm making, I just have something I want to say, something I was inspired by, or something I just want to do in the moment. Like it's not always so deep. More times than not, it is. But the tricky part is like, okay, I have to predetermine how other people may think about it and what will hook them to want to listen to it, connect to it, listen to it again, and tell somebody else.
Is that how you started making music, or like what was the beginning of your music making process?
So, the beginning, it started when I was 11. Before then, I've been obviously exposed to different music. My mom cleaning up in the house, my older brother, him being older than me, already having some influences and putting me on to certain things. But I had, like anybody else, humans, we have things that we go through that are tough. So at the time, I was 11. It's a couple years after not seeing my dad no more, but knowing that things are not aligning a certain way in my mind and they're frustrating me, and I got things that I need to talk about and release, and I didn't know how. I would speak to my mom about stuff, and not to say that she couldn't, not that she didn't have the capacity to understand, but I still, I'm a male. I have a certain kind of relationship with my mother at the time, love her, trust her, receive what she's given me, but also what I want to express, being an 11-year-old at the time, not even knowing how to pinpoint that, but I just knew she wasn't, for me, what I needed. She gave me what I needed already. Mm-hmm. There was more that I needed. She gave me the type of love, type of support that I needed from my mother, right? but there were aspects of my life that was missing. And I was a very angry kid. At times where I, could have fun and stuff, but I would really hold on to stuff and rage and rage and rage. And something she introduced me to though at that young age was she would journal back and forth to me because I wouldn't articulate certain things to her, didn't really know how, didn't feel comfortable, trying to figure it out. And in between the writing, I always liked that. She put me on to reading. Me and all of our siblings, we were reading young, kind of like my son is too, about 2 or 3 or 4, fully able to like read, articulate, and experience what was going on in the books. So I always had an interest in what it is to like words, find out, put them together. I loved to write stories at 5 and 6 when I was in school, and those were our assignments. Didn't love school that much, but that part, because I got to create myself. It's like, I get to say something like, I've read these things, I've enjoyed it. I could do it. Okay, here's this sunny day, this kid doing. Yeah. So I always loved that. And in the midst of having to like figure out how to like piece myself together, I remembered, okay, I enjoy words, I enjoy this. At 11, getting into starting to understand that I like hip hop. I've heard it, but I'm just hearing it, passing in music, whatever. But there are artists and stuff that I'm kind of liking now. Me and my friends at the table, they beating on the table, we making beats, and everybody is at the time, it's the grinding beats going on, ba 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 ba, and we dancing and we moving. But it really stuck out to me. I'm like, and then I'm listening. I'm like, they got stuff to say. But they have things to say in a certain way that makes me feel the way I want to say things. Because I'm angry, I'm frustrated. I can't say this in a nice way. I can't express this, in a soft manner, because I don't feel soft about it. I gotta hit something, and I'm not allowed to do that right now, and it's frowned upon, so I gotta find a way to do that with these words. And I just started writing. I'm like, you gotta rap to these beats. And they were just playing at the time, but as I got older, 12, 13, 14, liking that more, listening more to artists, finding people that was like really talking about stuff. And I'm like, man, this stuff reminds me of like things that I've thought, things that I've felt, gangster things going on where, I had trials with those things, people trying me, being from the hood, and it's like, I like this. I like to do this. This is a nice escape for me. And the older I got, the more serious I got about it, the more I finally allowed myself to let friends hear my stuff, because it wasn't like you could just let people hear that at first. It was just a journal experience, and it was just a way for me to kind of cope. And I won't say that it fixed everything, but it relieved a lot, because the thing about writing, no matter what it is and what the purpose is, you put it down on paper, it is a release. It is a release. It tells the paper what it is in your mind or what it is in your heart, and it understands it because it's coming from you.
Right.
Dealing with people, sometimes they don't always listen with the capacity to try to fully understand. They listen to respond, they listen to fix, they listen to diagnose. They don't listen to understand you. I felt like the paper always understood me because it came from me. I open it back up, I read it. Yes, this is confirmation that this is what I felt, and I could continue to do this. So it helped me a lot coming up, not having, like I said, my father around, because he was around when I was young, but then he decided he had other obligations. And I realized quickly how I felt about that. And no, I needed other outlets, so that was how it started for me, is this journal. And I wouldn't say escape, but just a confirmation of here's a way that I can actually express myself that feels like me.
So what would you now tell your younger self?
Man, you did the right thing for writing, number one. But 2, all the weight that you held on your shoulders behind the trials about how you started writing, none of that was your fault. It wasn't on you, it was not your responsibility. It wasn't your responsibility to have to grow up so fast and take arms of being not just a protector, but filling a provider role for your siblings. That wasn't your role, it wasn't your responsibility, and it wasn't fair to you. But I'm also happy for you that you got to find one way that not just helped you at that time, but stuck with you and always meant something to you. You know, the reason why there's certain artists in any medium that I really enjoy is because I know that they're talking from their soul. Like, they have real stuff to say. It's not always just about it, whether or not it's positive or negative, but I know that it's their truth and it means something. It has a real purpose. I feel it when you hear it.
Who are some of the artists that you can say inspired you or that you enjoy listening to?
So from like the newer school people that are still relevant now, Kendrick is one of my top favorites when we talking like mainstream. Black Thought is like, forget about it. It's someone that, you know, art is subjective, but like, you can't tell me nothing about him if it ain't what I say it is. You know, I protect his greatness because I think he's done things with his pen that I've never heard before with other people. And that's just all opinion. You know, people joke around about arguing like sports and hip hop and stuff all the time. But I think he's on a level lyrically has just been untouchable.
So to touch that actually about Black Thought, so I actually wanted to, so for the 28 days, I realized that for February, you're doing the 28-day challenge. Well, you challenge yourself to make Black verses every day and to provide information. So you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, so, all right, so, you know, Black History Month. It's, for myself, it's an interesting time of the year. I'm someone that's very, you know, obviously, I won't say obvious, but if you follow my content, follow my music, people know, you know, I'm very much for my people, for the culture, you know, finding out, digging into what our roots are, and loving us where we are, all of who we are, how we are, not just one way. You know, you don't have to be as woke as the next person or this or that, you know, because I understand the trials that we've been through, and, you know, I love our people, you know, the good and the bad. So, you know, when Black History Month comes around, you know, the rest of the world, you know, so yeah, let's go ahead. And it's like, yeah, okay, you know, it's Black History Year. But by the same token, though, I do appreciate and recognize that it's something that is at least publicly known for people to, you know, celebrate us. And when these things come around, sometimes I like to do different things to highlight, since we're highlighting it. Since we are talking about it, well, let's go ahead and dive in a little bit. The verses, it wasn't something that I thought about all that long about. There's a lot of things that I'm working on, including with the work that I'm doing just for myself and divine alignment happening. A lot of the things that I've prayed about, manifested, and owned about who I am and what my journey is, and I'm seeing it happen in real time. Things keep on happening and coming to me, and I'm taking it. So I mentioned that I was gonna do it in my story like the 29th or whatever, because it just came to my mind, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. I can't. There's not a real deep explanation. I think it was something that was cool to be able to do, to challenge myself to do this every single day. I decided to make it attainable, where it's not like a very long song. It's gonna be short, eight bars. You know, something that can catch on, something that works for the metric of social media and the shorts and the reels and TikTok. So there's business things on the side of it too. But I just thought it was cool to like find a way. And it's not, I haven't created everything yet because I'm creating basically daily. Sometimes I'll do like 2 or 3 songs because they all hit me at that time or that day. Sometimes it's just one. But then I'll record them every day, edit them that day, and post them that day across all platforms. But it's, what it is, it's not just like, it's just supposed to be Black as is. So sometimes I'm gonna be talking about our history, or someone very specific, something, but sometimes it's just something that's culturally relevant to us, you know, nicknames, you know, I have a thing about how we have 50 different names that we know by sometimes, or who knows, like it's just gonna be whatever it is, you know, gumbo, or just things that are known for us that's like cool. It's not always just about having to put us on that pedestal sometimes, which I'm for it, but it's it comes with a lot of pressure. Like, we can only be cool if, you know, we were the next big leaders. Like, no, you exist here. That's also important too, right? You're pushing through whatever your stuff is, and you're going, and we love you for it. So, you know, just because your name is Jerome, what's up? You know what I'm saying, or whatever it is. So it's just supposed to be something to allow us to kind of celebrate ourselves as is. And I thought it would be cool to also challenge myself to do that. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna figure that out, but I'm gonna get it done. You know, so.
So what's the next message? Because you had QuoteTheMC before as a younger, who was angry, and you were just expressing yourself, getting that emotion out. What's the message? What are you writing about today? What are you pushing out to the people who are listening to your music?
Okay, so QuoteTheMC is a new version of myself too, by the way. So I've had many different names beforehand that I've given myself. All were mine. No one named me as far as my artist goes. QuoteTheMC was the name though that I gave myself at the time that I stamped that I'm doing this for real. I'm gonna go ahead and publicize, figure out the professional journey, if you will. Right now, I'm in the mind frame of writing my truth. Everything I'm doing, all the work I said I'm doing, the way things are aligning is me stepping in my truth and living in it wholeheartedly. So there are things that I have to talk about from far back. There are things I have to talk about from a couple weeks ago, from now, etc. Part of that is still going to be in alignment with what I've already talked about, which is Black beauty, Black culture, etc. Because that is who I am, but that's not the root of it anymore. You know, the first projects I released were things that were advocating for our community, which I stand by. But this far in, this is my 4th year. I haven't, other than a couple songs more recently, I haven't even specifically voiced for me as I was doing when I started. You know, I voiced for the culture, for the people. Again, it's important to me, so I stand by it. I'm good with that. But I haven't voiced for myself, and that's what I'm doing now. So I'm working on, me saying this is the way it is. You know, some things might hurt some feelings. It's not meant to spite anything or anybody, but I gotta release. There are things that I've held on to that I'm doing just fine with now. I'm good. I've healed from, but there's still the part of me that's still holding on to it. That's not plaguing me, but I haven't been able to release it.
Exactly.
I need to release it.
On that paper.
I have to release it, and I have to put it out. And that's the thing I think that helps a lot of us when we listen to music or experience art, is finally being in the midst of somebody, not just telling you what you want to hear, but it's they're speaking their truth, and that's when it's I felt that before too. That's where you get that, where we could throw our fists up about a lot of things, but if I'm ignoring who I am just to do that, I'm gonna burn myself out, as I have in the past. So I need to make sure I fill my cup, release, and move and advocate for myself too. So that's what's happening from my pen now. That's what's happening with my journey as far as music goes. Is you're gonna hear some things that sound pretty familiar. You're gonna hear some stuff that's whoa, I had no idea that this is even how he is, how he would express himself a certain way. So, that's where I'm at. I have to. The thing about that is there's a few things. So I am me, and I have to be me. But then there's me that's a father, right? I'm a father to a young boy. He's 4. He's this great being. He lights up everyone's day, not just mine, right? But what I want, the things that I do want to instill in him, that I do want him to take away, he will never be able to do that if he didn't see me do that. So, me and his mother, fully committing to ourselves, our mission, our goal, what is our truth, at the same time as pouring into him. When we tell him you can be what you want to be, go ahead and be yourself, chase who you are, he's gonna have an example of that. His kids ain't gonna listen to the words, they're gonna follow your actions.
Right.
He's gonna see that, he's gonna have an example of that for himself to be able to draw from that. He know that I did it. I actually did it. So where it is very important for me and myself alone, it's important for him to see that too, because it ain't gonna work if I'm just spitting words at him, you know. And I'm good with that. I've been writing a long time. I know how to give good words, but he has to have seen that and experienced that to know that I mean it, right? So yeah, that's this stage of my thing, and what I'm creating is like full circle with who I am, but also what I want to influence and influence others to do. Be who you are, you know. That's be who you are.
That's the mission.
So that's the goal, and that's the way that we get to feel happiness for real.
Yes.
And then exude love.
Yes.
And push that on to others. We can't do that when we're not
Ourselves.
when we're not treating ourselves, you know. So that's where I'm at, and that's why I stand on very unapologetically. It's like, nah, I'm about to do me for real. You know? And I have a couple songs that I have, and why I hold on to them so much, and why you still see me posting about this same thing. Because it's like, no, those ones are cool. I love them, but this is the one right here. I gotta keep doing this. Like, yeah, I want it to be successful and all that, but nah, y'all need to keep hearing this because it's me. And because no, there's something you're not hearing, so hear it again.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, so that's where I'm at.
So
that's
5 years from now, where you going? What is 5 years from now the journey look like?
Look, we in 2027. I mean, I'm gonna call it like I see it. I mean, by that time, and it's not even going to take 5 years, the people will finally be in alignment with what I already believe in myself. They already know, and some people already know, but the mass, because that's the thing. I don't do this music thing, even it is my profession, right? So there is part of this that, you know, I obviously want the attention, I need the eyes, metrics, etc. But I'm not doing it for fame. I could care less about fame. I'm actually an extremely private person. The trivial part about this is being so vulnerable on like social media, where it's like, yo, I'm who I am, but I don't be telling people. No. I'm gonna tell this person, that person, and everybody else. You can see this fraction, right? And I still don't give everything, but it's like, you know what? No, give more of your truth a little bit. People need it, bro. So go ahead.
Yeah.
That's hard for me because I don't tell people everything. It's, you know, it's this protection of my own peace. It's like, no, you don't get to experience that. But by the same token, again, being an artist, you know, I do want that level of notoriety. Not for popularity though, because to connect, right? I want these things that I'm talking about to get to the masses.
Right.
But I also want, if we have, you know, an influx of, I don't want to call it negativity, but just things that don't serve us well at all, on a high rate too, and that's all we get from our social media, from our music, from the news, from everywhere, from the movies, the TVs, everything that we intake, everything, you know, and 1%, if possible, we see something else, something that serves us, that pours into us, and we don't even know how to receive it because we don't see that nowhere else. But I want that to match the amount. If we get in this much of that, I want them to get this much of that too, so that we have a fair chance, right? So yeah, as part of that is the notoriety, but I want good
love will override everything.
Love to pour in, and people have that chance to, again, be themselves, push out goodness or just who they are, you know. So yeah, so, you know, 5 years from now, it's, I'm in the conversation for awards, for Grammys, you know, for album of the year, artist of the year, you know, charting, right? You know, past the point of just paying for where I live in my own lifestyle, but I mean fully successful as an artist and continuing to grow. I'm good at playing my saxophone because I still can't learn it, or I'm not allowed to.
It's challenging for me. I tried the other day. I was like,
It's a one instrument. There has to be a real space for you to learn that. Other things, you can turn the volume down. I have a keyboard. That's something you can brass instruments though, they're always loud. And if you're not good, you know what I'm saying?
Everybody's gonna know.
It is what it is. I'm unapologetic, but I am considerate. I don't want to hear that from my neighbors. I live in the projects, the walls are this thin. That's not something you can just play in the house. But you also need a teacher for it, because at least for me, trying to learn the fingering placement on a saxophone, it's difficult. It's very different. So I need someone in front of me. I don't have that at the moment. But I'm playing that. Yeah, right. But yeah, it's just it's who I am today. But the world knows about it. The entire world, not just a small population. I'm touring everywhere. COVID is different, so I can finally go out of the country because I'm not conforming to what all that other stuff is about. I'll wait. I'm gonna just be patient.
Yeah.
But I'm playing in Africa, everywhere else in Brazil, and wherever else our people is at, and touching lives and giving back too. It's not just about my success, but I want to have been employing other people of our descent by now. Having my producers, engineers, which I already have been, but a whole slew of people working with us, building in. I have my performance venue already built up, but doing the community work with that as well. There's a lot of things that I want to do. So 5 years from now, all of those things are established. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna wrap up soon. I love your story because it's about your truth. And it's about at one point not being able to tell your truth and the journey of finding yourself and then being able to come out and tell your truth and have people accept you for your truth. And that's something that I also as a man have gone through. And my father not being in my life after 12 years old and having to really figure out how to be me unapologetically and not do the things that I think my mom needs me to do and play that role. So I've heard, listening to your story, I've definitely been inspired to, be more of myself, tell more of myself, just tell more of my story, and put myself out there. So I really am grateful for your story, and I'm gonna keep listening out for your music. And we have our own platform where we help artists and entrepreneurs come together and express themselves. So open mics, shows. We show people's businesses. We have our own social media platform. So like you said, we get all this other stuff pouring in, but we have our own platform. When you come to our platform, it's all people like us. It's all good healing. It's all this kind of thing. So even though there might be some stuff going on the outside, but we may have to play in that. We may have to go on Instagram still and Twitter and Facebook to get the people from out there, but we have an internal internet home where you can come in. It's your people, it's good stuff, it's love, and it's all in one location. So
love.
I'm very grateful, quote, to be having this interview with you. This was an amazing experience.
Yeah, I appreciate being here, seriously. Just allow me to, tell my truth and, hope it reaches somebody. That's always one of my biggest goals when I do, especially when I perform. My performances are always hoping to, do my thing, which is like I got to, right? I apply myself a certain way, but I really want to inspire people to see that they can go ahead and believe in themselves. That's always what I want them to take away. I always end my shows, or recently I end my shows with, having the audacity to believe in yourself, and giving yourself that opportunity. Because when you do that, and you jump, no matter how scary it is, no matter how you don't know how it's gonna go, that's when we start living. We've been surviving so long, we don't really thrive like that. So you have to.
The scary stuff is actually what brings the.
You gotta jump. You gotta do it, because then you start feeling like, okay, here it is. I know, because I can feel it. That's the best way I can explain it. I just can feel it. That's how I know.
Yeah.
Nobody told me. I have my connections with what is important to me. I can't tell you how to spiritual yourself, but I know it's confirmed. So jump. if that, believe in yourself. We hear it all the time, but it's a truth that is something that's important for you.
Well, let the audience out there know who you are, where to find you, and anything about what's coming up for you.
Okay. Once again, I am QuoteTheMC. Y'all can find me on all social media. I mean, all of them: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything that you use, fan base, under the same exact name, QuoteTheMC. That is QUOTE.
The MC.
THEMC on everything. She know because she done been around these things. The same thing on all your music platforms as well: Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, everything, Amazon, SoundCloud, wherever. QuoteTheMC, all spelled the same way. I did it that way in hopes that you can find me exactly the same way with no drama.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, and I guess the next thing you could probably look for is when I am going to announce the date for the show that I am putting together. So, yeah. Got some music, some music videos, YouTube, everywhere. Go check it out and share it with somebody, not just because of popularity, but our people should see these kind of things. So, don't be greedy with it. Don't be stingy, all right?
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
See you later, New African Nation.